Hey there, Lindsay Norman here. Today we're going to talk about the topic of multiplication, but more specifically, we're going to talk about pitfalls people can fall into that don't lead to multiplication. And so there's two specific kind of thought processes that I would say really lead to a lack of multiplication, but they're kind of deceptive because I think a lot of times when you're new to leadership or at least new to the industry, you can think, well, if I just do these things, then it's going to lead to multiplication and great things are going to happen. So I actually would call these two both pitfalls. So the first is I can do it all myself. I'm going to recruit all by myself. I'm going to bring in new customers all by myself. Anytime you're like, I'm just going to get this done. I'm just going to, it's faster. I'm going to get to where I want to go faster. That mindset of working towards your goal by yourself will probably get you to where you want to go. It could. I know there's enough tenacious leaders out there who are mentally headstrong and they're like, what a friend used to call like the jackrabbit, who will just go out there and like get her done. And you can absolutely get to a level in a company by doing that. But oftentimes what happens is when you look back and see what you built because you did it alone and because you maybe tried to do it too fast, what you built is actually either not super stable, so it could crash down and fall very easily, or you're not making money. And so I would just really highly recommend if you are in that mentality of I'm just going to do it myself, and that doesn't happen, that is usually a mentality that plays out in multiple smaller areas as well. So for example, I know our company has this amazing program that they do twice a year for leaders who are growing. And they have some flexibility in the program because they really want to help facilitate growth for business for those leaders. And you really have the option to succeed in that program either by doing it yourself or by doing it through your team. And a lot of really tenacious leaders, people who are not afraid to do the work and who are not afraid to commit, they're capable. Oftentimes they fall into the pitfall of, I'm just going to do it myself. But what happens usually at the end of that program is they look back and they say, well, I did accomplish something in the short run, but did I actually create multiplication along the way? Did I work through people? Did I work through my team? Did I create something that's going to expand and duplicate over time? Or did I just simply meet a goal and I can check that off the box and say, I did that, but what do I have to show for it? So multiplication really means you're working not just by you're not working by yourself. You're working through other people. You're developing others. One of the things that is really key for me when I think about developing leaders is I love to think about these three steps: develop, empower, and release. And a lot of times when I find the pitfall of like, I'm just going to get it done, it's because people want to get somewhere fast and they're not willing to do some of the more difficult things along the way, which means slowing down, looking to see who can I bring along with me, who can I actually develop to even go beyond me in the organization. That actually leads to multiplication. So it requires slowing down. It requires that shift in mentality of not, can I get it done myself, but who can I work with and through to accomplish something greater? So that was, I would say, is pitfall number one, is just that mentality of I'm going to make it happen. You really want to look at that and assess and say, okay, if I do that, if I reach my goal and get there by just making it happen, what do I have to show for it? Did my team grow in a healthy way? Did I develop leaders along the way and help them reach their goals? And did my income grow? And did my leaders' income grow? If you can answer those questions with an affirmative, did my leaders grow and meet their goals? Yes. Did my leaders' income grow? Yes. Did my income grow? Yes. If you can see growth along the way, you are in multiplication. If you are looking back and asking those questions and you say no to any of those things, perhaps you are in the mindset of, I'm just going to get it done myself. Okay. So here is pitfall number two that I find. Oftentimes in a desire to perhaps develop other people, leaders will step in and say, I will do this for you, or they won't even ask permission. They'll just start doing things on behalf of a new team member, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to help that new team member earn income or see success to give them vision for what's possible in the future. Now, there's a piece of that I actually think is really good, but I actually see more damage that comes from that mentality of like, I'm just going to do it myself for them. so that they start earning income, because then they're going to want what I want. And then they're going to hop in, they're going to do this full time because they're going to have the vision. And I'm not saying that you can't, that doesn't happen. But I actually think that you can be much more intentional when you're training people up. If you are going to do somebody's first workshop, which, by the way, let me put a pin in this. We actually learn by immersion on our team. We are very, very high touch. When we bring in new advocates and new leaders, we are very much, let me lead with you, especially through the beginning while you're not an expert. This is training ground for you. So everything I'm doing is developing you so that I can empower you and release you along the way as we grow. But everything we do at the beginning with our new team members, especially, as we call it white on rice, we always say, trust your leaders and literally humble yourself to them so that they can train and teach you along the way. But if you notice, everything we're talking about here is to develop and train you. Our new advocates always know, okay, my leader is going to do my first workshops for me. They're going to do my onboarding with me. But all of those things are in the context of developing and training. And that new person is always there. So they're taking notes, they're training along the way. We have huddle ups afterwards to talk about what went well, what did you learn? So it's not always bad to be doing something on behalf of your team member to help them grow and see a vision. But I think that there's a right way to do that. And I think that there's a way where it's like, there's a less intentional way that can actually lead to maybe disappointing results for you in the future. So I would say, if you are going to really do things on behalf of a new team member or a team member who wants to grow and just doesn't know how, I would have a very clear and intentional training plan that you create with them so they know when you are doing things for them, it is for the purpose of what. And so have action items with them along the way, have training times with them along the way. And then also in that training, you're maybe pulling them in and saying, how can you contribute along the way when we're doing your first workshops or when we're doing your first follow-ups with your customers? Like, yes, I'm doing this with you, but I want you a part of this. So maybe you can share a testimonial. So it's really a training ground to develop, empower, release. That is the way you do it right. I think that leads to multiplication over time. But when you're just doing things on behalf of a customer or on behalf of a new team member specifically, but without really that intention behind it, that can lead to, well, look, they're making $200 a month. Why don't they want to commit the time? Why don't they want to hop in and do these things? Well, it's because you did it for them and you actually didn't have an intentional plan of training and developing along the way. So that's something that I would definitely look at. Now, let me just point out kind of two things. Sometimes in our zest or desire to get to where we want to go, we see that top level of the organization and we want to get there as fast as possible. A lot of times you can do it. You can get there quickly. But the question is, when you, again, look back and see what you built, did you build something that multiplies and that duplicates, or did you just go as lean as possible and just get the minimum requirements to get where you wanted to go? If you did that, if you just did the minimum requirements to get where you want to go, you're going to look back and you're going to say, oh my goodness, I'm not getting paid very much. I didn't help other people along the way. Which means my organization is probably not super stable. So those are the reasons why you really want to look at, what is my mentality for how I build as a leader? Are you saying I'm going to get it done myself, or I'm just going to do it for them so that they hopefully catch a vision in the long run? Those, I would say, are going to be two pitfalls. So multiplication might actually mean slowing down and identifying, who do I want to work with and who do I want to work through? Who do I want to develop? The greatest thing that I would shift that I've ever made as a leader is saying, I'm going to help all of these people reach their goals, because I know as I lift others, I'm lifted. So really being able to focus on other people along the way and helping them focus on other people. So my goal is always, how do I train leaders to train leaders? How do I actually train up leaders to train up leaders, right? That's multiplication. I'm not interested in getting anywhere by myself. I want to do it through others. And when I train people to do that, we create an organization that actually multiplies and grows ongoing, not just for a season or a period of time. So Developing leaders is key to multiplication. I would just encourage you today, look at those pitfalls, see if they are creeping up anywhere in your leadership. It's no problem. I would say I've definitely fallen into those. I definitely started out as a leader with that mentality because I wanted to go places fast. And I really didn't step back and say what actually grows a business and what's healthy, what leads to multiplication in the long run. So hopefully these tips helped you today. Have a good day.